Hey, good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome to K9 Legends and Trailblazers, one of my favorite people in the whole world. I'd like to introduce you to Sergeant First Class retired handler, trainer, program supervisor, Renae Johnson, who spent a long time in K9 and is still involved with us each and every day. Good morning. How are you, Renae?
Morning. I'm good. I'm good.
All right. Thank you for joining us. The show is kind of new. What it really the goal for the show is to kind of honor the two-legged heroes. We do a great job of honoring our four-legged heroes as we should, and I say that every show. There's no getting around the Lucas and the Nemos and all the wonderful dogs that sacrifice everything for us. But there's also a lot that goes into it as far as how do they get trained? How do they get maintained? All the way from the procurement trip in Germany or wherever we're buying the dog from, back to the 341st, and then out to the field. And then all those people over the years that have mentored everyone. You're definitely one of those. That's why I called you for this. You're definitely a legend in my book. Everyone that I interview, they go, "Well, I'm not a legend." Well, you are to me. So definitely want to highlight you today. So tell me about Renae before Renae went into the National Guard. What was your mindset like right leading up to that?
Well, I so I was in high school, right? Um, I was always the one that would like protect or stand up for the not the lesser, you don't want to say that, but the kids that were being picked on, right?
Yeah,
I ain't saying I didn't pick on kids. I did.
sure.
But if somebody was being bullied, like I would step in. And so that was just kind of my nature. And my mom, so I come from a huge family of military, mostly pretty much 99% of it Army. And my mom, when she was a single mom, ended up joining the National Guard and she went active National Guard. And that was probably when I was in the third grade is when we actually started having money.
Right.
Because we grew up dirt poor. I ain't gonna lie like that. I remember my mom walking me into a store and buying me my very first brand new something off
No,
the
I
rack.
get it. I get it. The first time I ever had 3 square meals a day was in the military. So
Hmm.
yeah, please
And when
continue.
people, yeah, and people are like, oh yeah, well, they look at you where you're at, right? And
Right.
they can't even imagine what you came
They
from.
don't know how you got there. Yeah.
Yeah, and they look at your parents at where they're at now, and it's like, oh, you guys weren't poor. Oh, let me tell you, government cheese poor.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so to me, the military was like, it was good.
That's a
It,
good
it was
option.
really good. So fast forward to 1990, 91, right in there when the first Gulf War
Mhm.
kicked off. And I was like, that's it. I'm going to join. I'm going to join. Well, I was 17 and didn't turn 18 until August.
Oh,
So, yeah. So I had to go to my mom. I was like, okay, I want to talk to the recruiter and I want to join now.
right.
And she's like, well, if I do this for you, you can't hold it against me.
Right.
And so, yeah, she signed me in. And so from February to August of that year, they had to wait till I turned 18,
Right.
something to do with being able to shoot a pistol. I don't know. I don't know why I couldn't have gone to basic training in June, but they made me wait till I turned 18.
Right.
And yeah, so August of 91 is when I finally got to go to basic and AIT. And so we did the OSIT training for MPs. So
Mhm.
we went to basic and AIT all at the same place. And that was, I'm going to really date myself, Fort McClellan, Alabama.
Yep. You just did.
Yeah. That
It's okay.
legend part, I don't know if it's canine legend, but legend is age wise, yes.
We'll take both. How about that? We'll take both.
So so I went to basic AIT, come back and went with my unit to Panama.
Oh,
This
cool.
this may start you on another trail.
Yeah.
But I go to Panama. I'm a young PFC Smith, arrogant, cocky, you name it, whatever. And we're on jungle surveillance because the Panamanians used to jump the fence
Right.
and go steal a bunch of stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking washers and dryers. Like, I mean,
Wow.
they stole some major stuff, you
Wow.
know? And so I'm sitting there in the jungle and you hear something, and of course I got a partner, and you hear something, and somebody's coming, and it's like, what on earth? You can't see. Well, I flashlight it, and you'll like this one. It was this huge, huge black staff sergeant,
Yeah.
double stacked airborne air assault
Hmm.
with this huge, I'm talking, he had to have been like 100+ pounds German Shepherd.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I said, oh my God, what is that? And how can I do it?
Right. Oh, that must have been a sentry dog then.
No,
Not
no,
quite, huh? Wow.
not quite. But that person, Staff Sergeant John McKinney.
Oh, oh, wow.
Now you
That's
talk about legend. So
yeah,
me, I think
yeah,
of that.
yeah.
So that was
He's
our
on my
first,
list. He's on my
yes,
list.
that was our first meeting was in the jungles of Panama.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That's a great
And
story.
he just, he did that big, huge laugh of his, and
Right.
here I am, a dumb PFC. He's a big old staff sergeant,
Right.
and I don't care. And he's
Right.
like, he just laughs, and he's like, oh, it's a dog, you
Right.
know. And I said, how do I do that?
Right.
And he's like, oh, well, you have to go active duty. And I
Right.
was like, done. It's done.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And me and the Army, we didn't have the same plan.
Right. So yeah, it
So
happens sometimes. Yeah.
it does. And it's not bad. It's just, it's not in my timing, and it wasn't,
Yeah.
it wasn't the way I wanted to do it. But right after that, we got back from Panama. I also met my husband there. We didn't get married then, but that's where I met my husband. And we I got sent on I don't remember what they call it, but they'll put you on active duty orders to send you to do stuff.
Right.
And so I did like a 4-month stint in San Diego. Yeah, the naval base there, Miramar.
Hmm.
Is that it? Yeah, Miramar. We stayed there and we did like the San Ysidro border and all that for drug interdiction.
Right.
So I got to work with the customs
Right.
canines as well, and it just fueled my fire, you know.
I get it.
And then right after I finished that, I went on a quick vacation, and then went and up to MEPS to find out what I could get. And
Oh,
here I am.
for active
Oh yeah,
duty. So
active duty. Yeah, I was done.
so 1999, right? That's the year
Hmm.
you go down to wonderful Lackland Air Force
Oh
Base. And
golly.
for those that don't know, Lackland is the mecca of everything K9. All services, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, all go through there. I've even seen some police departments and other federal
Yeah.
agencies come through at times, just depending on what it looked like that year. So talk to me about that. First day of K9 school. What's that look like?
So I actually missed first day.
Oh, what?
Yeah. So I was at Fort Hood, and I had a buddy in K9
Yeah.
that knew I wanted K9. Knew. I mean, I was E5 promotable by then, did my line time, deployments, all that. And it was kind of a blessing and a curse all at the same time. So back then, I was like one of maybe two or three people in an entire brigade with a combat patch, right? And I was a girl.
Hmm.
It is what it is,
Right.
right? But that put the limelight on you a lot. Not always the good, not always good.
Right.
And when I had gotten there in 99, our sergeant major was like, it was a female sergeant major. And oh my God, she was hard. And she was just like, Sergeant Johnson, remind me if you come up to my office for anything but a line unit, then I'm keeping you in the line unit because you need to stay in the line unit.
Right.
And I was like, good to go, Sergeant Major, good to go.
Right.
Well, they needed reenlistments. They were one short.
Mm.
And my battalion sergeant major called me in, and he was like, I had already been talking to Austin PD, stuff like that, right?
Right.
And he's like, Sergeant Johnson, what do I have to do to get you to reenlist? And I was like, Sergeant Major, you can't get me what I want.
Right.
There's no guarantee because I'd already reenlisted once for it and didn't get it.
I didn't get it. Yep.
Yeah. And he was like, no, okay, I can't promise you, but I won't quit until they make me quit.
Right.
And I was like, all right.
All right.
And so I reenlisted K9. Well, my buddy who was at the kennels knew that I had reenlisted for K9. Well, they had somebody they sent that failed their PT test first day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they needed a fill. So Lackland calls to their closest areas, and I guess it was a soldier that failed
Hmm.
because it went to the army. And my buddy Chris Lalonde told the kennel master, no, she's the one, she's the one. And so Rudy Merez calls me in, does an interview with me to find out, and he's trying to talk me out of it. He's like, look, like, like we're not like everybody else. When it's raining, we're training. When it's cold, we're training. When it's muddy, we're training. And I was like, you don't know where I come from. Like, that's fine with me. I don't care. And I was like, no, that's fine by me. I'm good with it. And so he called Sergeant Major and was like, yep, we got our pick.
So there
And
you
so I
go.
got, so there I go. We had just got back to Fort Hood too from Korea. And my husband, he was getting ready to deploy with his division MP company. And
Right.
and here I am. And we just got our kid back too after a year.
Right.
And so now we're scrambling because he knows how bad I've wanted K9.
Right.
And I mean, we make it work. We make it work. And she ended up, our daughter ended up with a friend for a little time, and then with family afterwards. But so I got there second day.
So day two.
Day two, I
Day
had to
two.
bum a ride to class
Oh,
to
gee.
get out to Medina to get to class.
Yep.
And they had already started, but it was different in the sense of up to that point, I'd never worked with any other branches of service,
Right.
you know. So that was kind of new to us, trying to figure out what a Navy rank was, and I mean, they're the most confusing thing.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
but no, it was great. It was absolutely great. I just, while we were all down there in San Antonio last week,
Hmm.
uh got to see one of my buddies, my classmate that I hadn't seen in, well, how long ago was that? 26 years? Holy cow.
Wow. Yeah.
I less than that. We've known each other for 26 years because we were stationed together later. But
Right.
yeah, he showed up the other day down there. So we got to reconnect. It was good.
Day
Oh,
two.
day two.
Day two, you show up, you have to hitch a ride to school.
Yeah. From an instructor.
Well, at least they knew how to get there.
Yeah, because I had to take my PT test. So everybody else was already in class
Uh,
by the time so I show up late. It's awkward. They've already got their class leader. Then he's like, wait a minute, you're promotable. I'm not promotable. You outrank me. It's like, no, it's
just let it
okay.
go, man.
Let it go. You've already got it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I got to thinking and I was like, man, I don't think we had any. It was a heavy uh, Army, Navy class.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got to thinking about it. I was like, man, I don't know if we had any Air Force in our class. I don't know that we had any Marine in our class.
Yeah. And sometimes it just that's how it falls. For my class, I had a little bit of all, but when I went back to instruct later, Um, I had classes all Army. But the Army was pushing, right? This was
Right.
after
Yeah.
9/11.
Yeah.
Class sizes were getting bigger, but you get there, you got your block one, you're starting block one. For you guys that don't know, block one is where you do all the patrol work, right?
Yeah.
Start working them buckets, them ammo
Yeah.
cans, and tell me who your instructors were, if you remember.
Oh, I believe if I remember right, it was a MA1 Hewitt, and I
Hmm.
want to say there was two of them, and I want to say they're both. I had two MA1s,
Yeah.
and one was Hewitt, and for some reason I wanted to say that they were both Hewitt,
Oh, that'd be
but I'm
weird.
probably wrong because again, I'm old and
Maybe
names.
somebody will fix it in the
Yeah,
comments for us.
yeah, they'll put it in my comments, be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, jerk, you forgot my name."
Yeah, that'd be
Um,
all right.
and I had Marine Sergeant Pergundy, who
Oh,
we called Johnny Bravo,
yep.
because if you ever watch the cartoon, he straight up he acted like him. Yeah, all of it. Yeah,
Yep.
acted just like him. And he must have been the team leader at the time
Yeah, likely
because
so. When I came back for soups course, he instructed my soups course. So uh Uh,
And I think he was my soups course
yeah,
instructor.
yeah. So we get through block one, right? We learn all the basics, the fundamentals of patrol dog work. And with you coming and having some Panama experience, that actually uh that's pretty cool because like you actually know that these dogs actually do this job
Right.
out in that real world environment, you know.
Right.
There you saw Staff Sergeant McKinney, you know,
Yeah.
on patrol doing a perimeter check or whatever he was doing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's cool. So did and being you were E5 at the time, right? A sergeant.
Mm-hmm.
So being
Yep.
a sergeant in that class, obviously, you know, um, when you're in class with other levels or lower rankings, like you have to be on top of your game, right?
Yeah.
So one, you're a female in a male kind of dominated career field. Two, you're a sergeant. So yeah, what kind of pressure is that on you?
Well, the third is definitely that stupid patch,
Yeah, the
right?
combat patch.
Because
Oh yeah.
people put you at you know, I think it's like when people have never been tested,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They've never been tested to know how they're going to act under that kind of pressure.
Hmm.
That they, we have multiple types of personalities in the canine program.
Yes.
We've got golden boys, we've got, people that just want to do a good job, but there's a lot of pressure on just that
Oh,
because
I can
the
imagine.
class leader was from Bragg. I wore a Bragg combat patch,
Mm,
but I was not airborne. So of
right.
course it was like, well, why? Well, why aren't you airborne? But you're wearing one of our patches. It's like, hey, sorry you didn't
Uh,
go,
I, I
man. I don't
I
know,
get
man.
that. I get that. So right after 9/11, I went to Pakistan, Afghanistan border, and originally I was attached 14th MEU, and then 101st Airborne Rocketsons came in. So I actually got awarded the combat patch from 101st. And then when I got back stateside, I was in 820th, so it wasn't uncommon to see a
Yeah,
combat patch. But then I PCSed here to 341st, and I literally had to carry around a piece of paper in my pocket for about a
to
month.
prove.
And I was like, you know what? It's not that important that I wear it. I know how I earned it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I took it off. But you're right. You get a
Yeah,
lot of questions, right?
a lot
Uh,
of questions.
but that's cool. So you get through
Yeah,
patrol, and then 1999 it was split, right? I can't remember if we
yeah.
kept our instructors or we picked up new
Well,
instructors.
in '99, we got to keep. Well, in my class, we kept our instructors.
So they went
So
with you to block
yeah,
two.
they went with us to
So
block
I
two,
see
which,
pros and cons in that. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean
yeah,
to cut you off. Pros and cons, like pros is these instructors already know me. They know kind of know my capabilities about handling a dog. But also, am I carrying any baggage from block
yeah,
one to block two?
right,
Right. And then on the flip side, I'm getting a new instructor. Are they going to give me the same you know, accountability that I had on the other side? So
yeah,
so yeah, so block two is all detection work.
yeah,
And I think at that time we were predominantly training on drug dogs, right? The schoolhouse
yeah,
dogs, they were
yeah. I
drug
think
dogs.
so. Yeah,
Yep. And so
and
that's
they bust
always
us.
interesting. They what?
They bust us. They would bust us. Remember? Well, I
Yeah,
don't know. Did they
that's right.
bust you guys? Because yeah,
Yeah.
everybody, block one and block two,
Yeah.
met at Medina, did formation, took accountability, and then if you were in block two, you muzzled your dog. You went, got your dog,
Wasn't your
muzzled them,
dog?
and you got on the bus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's definitely an interesting place, good time. That's kind of was my first, like you, it was my first interaction with other services other
yeah.
than deployment, you know. So it was definitely interesting. And you're right, I could never figure out the Navy ranks. I'm like,
No,
I just say EMA and they would look and I'd be like, okay, I'm good. Um,
right.
but but again, so you get through that, you get through block one, block two, and again, male dominated field. Uh, but usually what I find is in with female canine handlers, the ones that end up staying K9 are the ones you wanted to stay K9,
Right.
right? K9 has a way of weeding out people that are there
Yeah.
for the wrong reasons. And you
Oh
talked
yeah.
about, I think you said pretty boys, not, but I call them prima donnas, right?
Or golden boys.
Or
Yeah.
golden boys, yeah. So
Golden
I call them
boys.
prima donnas. They're just in
Oh
it to look
man.
cool. They
Yeah.
really don't care about the dog. Dog's going straight in the kennel when they get back to the
Yeah.
kennel. They're getting in the car, they're driving off.
Minimum
Versus,
training. Got
right.
it. Or they have a great dog that is push button.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
So we had that discussion, me and Orlando and both me and Jacobin about how, and we could talk about it later about when you go over to the 341st and your
Ugh,
ops superintendent. But even in other federal agencies that I worked, we can give somebody a really great dog to
mhm.
cover up their inability, but it only lasts for a couple years,
Yeah.
and then you start seeing that fade out. You get them a new dog they can't certify, and you're like, okay, we missed this one, right?
Yeah.
We missed this
Yeah.
one. All right, so you finish up K-9 school, and then you're rolling back to Fort Hood, right?
Back to
Back
Fort
to Fort.
Hood. And I was
So
a little naive in that. I was very naive in that. Like,
how so?
again, I
Yeah,
come from a line unit,
yeah,
like even in the 820th, like
yeah.
I,
It's
I
different.
figure like 820th is the closest thing in the Air Force
The
to
infantry.
MP to an MP unit.
Yeah,
Like you have camaraderie in the
yeah,
unit. Like you don't like everybody's doing the same job.
right.
It's not they're not treating me special because I'm a girl. They're not treating me different because I'm a
Yeah.
girl. It's
Carry
just
your
we're
own
all
rucksack. Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes. And but we're all like the camaraderie is the biggest thing.
right,
And so I'm thinking, oh, well, I'm going to an 18-person kennels. This is just a smaller platoon,
right.
thinking, oh, we're all supposed to have camaraderie. And
Yeah.
and I could not believe I mean, take the knives out, every single day. And it's like, dude, it's like,
You know why? And that's not uncommon. You know why? Because everybody in K-9 thinks they're the best, right?
yeah,
They all want to be the best. And the way the military treated us at some point is they started sending us all through at the same rank, right? So we all started the kennel master was the same rank as a handler, trainer was
oh,
the same rank, and it caused a lot of problems. So I was so
yeah,
happy when the Army went back to 31 kilo, right? Or went to 31 kilo.
yeah,
We're going to talk about that a little later. So you get to
yeah.
Fort Hood, you 18 dog kennel. What did kennel makeup look like that? I asked that question on everyone,
Uh,
meaning you got 18 dogs, it's
yeah.
1999 before 9/11.
So yeah,
How
so
many, what
my
was the
very
makeup?
first dog, and I'm dating myself again, my very first dog
Uh-huh.
was a straight patrol dog.
Straight patrol. Okay.
Straight patrol. So
Right.
within that kennels, you had so many straight patrol dogs, you had so many patrol narcotics dogs, and then you had your patrol explosive dogs. But the way it was, the juniorest handlers went on those patrol dogs.
Right.
And we mastered that skill. And I remember my mom asked me, like, after the first month or two of being in the kennels, she said, and I had a phenomenal, phenomenal trainer. He killed me every day. Every day I died, And my mom asked me, she said, so, now that you're working, what did canine, was school good? I said, oh yeah. I said, it taught me just enough on how to get myself killed.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
True
because it
story.
is, you're learning the basics,
True
right? And
story. Yeah.
and later on in my career, I ran into guys that was like, no, we're not going to open that door on a building search. I wasn't trained that way
Right.
at canine school. And it's like,
Right.
you obviously have no law enforcement experience,
At the end of the day, you gotta live, right?
Yes.
You gotta live.
But no, so I was on a straight patrol dog. Man, he was the best. He was a trophy dog, and this was something like I had a soldier. He was just he was one of those guys. I'm just trying to be a dog handler. I'm just trying to learn my skill. But he was that guy always in the kennel master's office talking bad about people.
Yeah.
And so 2000 comes along, and we host the Force Com Canine competition.
Hmm.
Well, a few years before that, the dog I had won trophies at the
Right.
competition as the best patrol dog. I mean, he was a great dog.
No pressure, right?
No pressure. But old Renae did not win no trophies with this dog,
Right.
Like, I don't know. I'm a new cherry handler.
Hmm.
And so, right, so along the way, you learn a dog can be amazing, but
Yeah.
they're only capable of working at a level that the handler is somewhat at.
Yeah.
Now there are certain circumstances where a dog will completely carry the handler.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, yeah, so I did win trophies. It's okay. It's not
Right.
a big deal. I'm a brand new handler. At
Right.
this time, so when I got to the kennels, Lalonde had deployed to Bosnia.
Right.
So he had been gone these 6 months of me. Like, I was like, I hate these guys. These are all jerks, you know?
Right. Right.
Uh, and he got back and he got back the day of the competition. And oh, he was fuming. He was fuming,
I
fuming
bet. I
because he
bet.
didn't have, yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I bet. Chris was a
Yeah.
very competitive person
Yeah. Yeah. So
in a good way.
yeah, I mean, he had a great dog back then too. Oh, man.
So you get
But
you're at Fort Hood, and then do you deploy out of Fort Hood to Iraq?
no, no. So in 2001, my husband got picked up as out of NTC, National Training Center out
Mhm.
there in California.
Yep.
At the time, there were only two military police observer controllers for the
Oh,
field portion of it, for the
right.
actual exercise, for all the units coming in.
Yep.
And my husband had been selected to be the observer controller for the MPs, the enlisted. There was a
Yeah.
captain and a sergeant first class. And
Right.
so he had got selected for that and got us on orders to Irwin.
Irwin.
So
Yeah.
I showed up to Fort Irwin. Now, my kennel master there was a sentry dog handler,
Oh
and
wow.
he and I had been stationed at Fort Ord together way back,
Yeah.
right? And I get there, he just got back from Gitmo with his dog. He's getting ready to retire.
Mhm.
I'm coming in as pretty much the seniorest person. I have a young buck sergeant,
Timmy
Timothy
Timmons.
Timmons,
Yeah.
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 All I listen to him is yell at his soldier, you don't know what it's like if you'd have been at 82nd MPs. I love you,
Yeah.
Timmy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, but he, so the thing is, they had only E5s and E4s out there. The kennel master was the only E6. I
Right.
get out there, I'm a six. I've worked three different dogs by then because I had a patrol narcotics dog as well at Hood that we got into some stuff. I
Oh,
mean,
sure.
I tell everybody, man, Fort Hood, they call it the Fort Hood Mafia,
Yeah.
but dude, if you got out of there alive, you were good to go.
Oh yeah. Yeah. When I
I
went
mean,
to MPI school, a lot of our case studies were based out of Fort Hood, Fort Bragg.
yeah,
And no,
yeah,
you and so I actually want to go back to that. Let's go back to you getting another dog, working a narcotics patrol dog, because
yeah.
I wanted to ask you about that earlier. Like, what was that like on patrol at
Oh
Fort
man.
Bragg? Or I'm sorry, Fort Hood.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're actually getting some real law enforcement experience
Yeah,
because I know,
yeah.
like for me, my last assignment before I got out was at in Del Rio at Laughlin Air Force Base, and
Oh
you're
yeah.
lucky to even write a ticket for 4 years. So talk to me about that portion of your career.
Real quick.
Hmm.
So 99 was my second tour to Fort Hood.
Yeah.
I showed up in 94, in October 94, because it's all going to come to full circle. Um, and on the back, they used to print our orders, but they would put everybody on
Everybody's
one
name.
sheet,
Hmm.
right? And I look at my orders, and there's a Staff Sergeant John McKinney
Uh-huh.
going to the 89th MP Brigade.
Nice.
And I'm like, no way. And then there was a Staff Sergeant Kimberly McKinney
Mm.
going, I think, to MI. And I was like, no way. This can't be the same guy.
Right.
91 to 94. No, there
Right.
was no internet back then. You
Right.
didn't just text somebody. You didn't do
Right.
all that, right?
Right.
So I find Kim first, his wife.
Hmm.
And like I said, she was so patient with me. Because here I am, young E4, running up to her like,
With a
oh,
million questions.
are you the Sergeant McKinney's wife?
Hmm. Hmm.
Laughs. Yes. I explained to her why I'm on active duty.
Right.
All that, and so from 94 on, the McKinney family and the Johnson family, we orbit together. I mean, we're
Yeah.
in the same orbit forever.
Intertwined. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And
That's
even before that, because he was stationed with my husband.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in Panama. So we yeah, so John, working the road at Hood. I mean, we relieved each other on the same murder scenes.
Mm.
We I mean, people just they don't understand. They
So every
don't
crime,
understand.
basically every crime that you would have in
Every
New
crime
Orleans,
we had, yeah,
you'd have
yes.
there. Yeah.
And people just can't fathom it. And I'm like, well, you have two divisions and a
Yeah.
corps. Like
Yeah.
you have war fighters.
Yeah.
What do war fighters do when they're not at war?
They fight.
They fight
They
and they
get
hurt
they,
each other.
they
Well,
get in
at the
trouble.
time, so back on our second tour in '99, and I'm on a patrol dog and a patrol narcotics dog. Um, we it was open base. It was an open
Yeah.
base.
Hmm.
So you had all the gangbangers,
Yeah.
you had all of the local crime coming onto Fort Hood.
Right.
So as the dog handler on duty on a Friday or a Saturday night,
Oh, you busy. Yeah.
you'd get up and you would brief it. And when people like we had 30 patrols on at one given time.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, during the day they were single person patrols. At night they were two-man patrols, except for the patrol supervisors.
Right.
And I would brief like we came up with a plan. Like this is how we shut this down
Right.
without it just going to the four winds. You know, go over there for drive-by shootings. You know, so we would brief. And one thing I would always brief is, and I briefed this way because I didn't know it prior to going canine.
Right.
And when I briefed, I was like, all right, guys, so if you're chasing a bad guy on foot and you can't catch him and you hear dog off leash,
Stop.
you freeze. I said, I don't care if you've got the guy here.
Yeah.
You shove that guy and you freeze.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
because the dog is going to go for the first thing he sees running.
Yeah.
And,
100%.
you know, and so my biggest thing was the safety brief every night, especially on the weekends,
Yeah.
because you just did, you know. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I lost a friend. She was a fellow MP.
Mhm.
You know, we lost her. A guy murdered her on base.
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, it just,
Yeah,
it was a monster. It was a monster. And if it could go wrong, it would go wrong,
for sure. And the
you know?
open base didn't help any of that. You know,
No,
I
not at all.
remember when I first came in, I was at Barksdale Air Force Base, NCO club, and same kind of thing, just a lot of trouble, always a
Yeah.
lot of trouble. I remember rolling up there, sliding sideways in a Humvee, getting out with a 203, pumping it like it was a shotgun to disperse a crowd.
Oh my
But
God.
it just is what it is. But well,
I,
thank you for circling back to that. I appreciate it.
yeah.
I want people to understand that, depending on where you are in DOD, where you're stationed at,
Oh
you could
yeah.
have a very easy life or you could have a very hectic life, depending on what base you were and what was. Now, I assume now, since
Yeah.
I think all bases are
Yeah.
closed bases now. You don't see as much, but like you said, sometimes you get into where you have these big infantry units and they're going to
Oh
fight each
yeah.
other if they can't fight somebody else. Uh, you
Yeah.
know, understandable. Those you
Yeah.
asking war fighters to be calm after you told them to be warriors for a year.
Yeah.
So hopefully
Yeah.
they do it like the old days still and just slap them on the wrist and get out of here
Mhm.
versus ruining their career over it, right?
Hey, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah. We had real quick. We when we arrived back to Fort Hood, we had a huge man, I don't know that you may have to take this one out, but we had a huge case going. And it was the Billings trial. Yeah, the Billings trial. It was the acting, she was the acting number two, but in charge because number one was in federal prison
oh
of the
Lord.
gangster disciples.
Oh, I did hear about this. We actually
Yeah,
studied this case in MPI school.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, you can talk
yeah,
about it. It's
yeah. Okay, okay, yeah.
it's out
So
there.
she was a supply clerk. She might have been a corporal,
Yeah.
specialist or a corporal. I know. I'm pretty sure she was an E4. Um, and what she was doing was telling her commander that certain parts weren't coming in.
Mhm.
So he would just sign off on it. Oh, well, she was this stellar soldier. She did everything right, you know. Supply clerks can make or break a commander, you
Oh,
know,
for sure. Yeah.
and this commander trusted her.
Right.
And sure enough, she was arming the the disciples, right?
Right.
And she went out to the club there in Colleen, off base,
Hmm.
and one of the club managers insulted her.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And I'm not sure how we actually got to her, but it was because she was putting a hit out on this guy.
Wow.
Yeah. And so CID, put their people in and yeah, crazy.
What I mean, what a great place to go train your gangsters, right? You
Yeah.
get all the weapons training in the world you want, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's it.
That's
That's it. And
modern day mafia, that's what
yeah,
that is.
yeah. So
Oh,
yeah, I mean, it was nuts. It was nuts when they sentenced her. I don't know. I was not in the courtroom because I was working, but they said that SRT came in, threw the second chance or the second chance vest on her, took
mhm.
her upstairs to the top of the three corps headquarters building and flew her out on helicopter.
She's probably still sitting in federal prison.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oof,
It was
goodness.
crazy, man.
All right, so let's talk about this deployment to Iraq. It's kind of unique
Oh
for
yes.
you because this deployment to Iraq was it you were one of two K9
Yeah.
folks in there.
Uh, yeah, conventional Army canine handlers. So from Fort Irwin, I ended up taking the kennel master's dog.
Hmm.
That was a 50-50 chance that this dog would even me and this dog
Right,
were even going to certify.
right.
Did you know Sergeant Rashawn
No,
Army?
no.
Okay, well he was our cert authority, and that was back in the day when we had 40 training aides.
Oh, wow.
Oh God, it was stressful. And on that very, I mean, so at the beginning I told him I was like, I don't know if me and this dog's going to certify. And he's
Right,
like, really? I was like, yeah. Like he has got the craziest false response. Like
mm,
he is terrible. Like I'm like, I don't even know what is going on.
right.
And so that very first problem, I mean, probably within the first 100 feet, my dog had already sat,
Mm,
two
mm.
times.
Wow.
And he was like, you know what? He's like, do me a favor. Take that dog off leash. And I was like, no, Sergeant. And even Sergeant Neely, my kennel master, was like, no, no, he's a runner. He's a runner. Like
Right,
he'll run.
right.
And Sergeant Sean's like, no, 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 no. Let's just watch something here. And
Hmm.
I was like, okay, he's cert authority. I'm just the handler. So I clicked the
Right.
dog off leash. And he said, all right, now come step back here with me. And I stepped back. That was and this was in 2003.
Hmm.
No, 2002, somewhere in there, like probably early 2003, because it was right before I deployed.
Right.
And he pulled me back, and sure enough, that dog, that dog was the most independent, on pattern,
Right.
beautiful. We ended up on the 40th training aid, we would have been 100%, except my dog was frustrated and scratched, and I pulled him off.
Right.
I said, we're done. We're done.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, you guys were almost at 100%, but he didn't see it. So I was like, oh no, I'm good. I'm good.
Right.
But so his outside eyes was like, no, he's an independent dog.
Right.
And here I was trying to force him to do the inverted
Trying to
V.
invert a V on him. Yeah.
And
And
he's
that's
like, lady, get out of my way. Okay, fine. You want to play this game? I'll play the game.
so I
And
would have ended up on a 360 for the rest of his career, you
yep,
know?
yep. And so we did. So he's the dog I took to Iraq with me. And he was not a patrol dog. He was a explosive only dog.
Okay.
It's not that he couldn't find people. It's that he didn't really want to bite them.
Right.
Didn't want to bite, but he'd find them. So we're transitioning from being a force com installation into an MCOM installation.
Okay.
It looked like a fireman's patch. They still got it. They still got it. But like I was the very first MCOM soldier to deploy.
Okay.
And so the sergeant major shows up out there thinking that's just the greatest thing. And I'm thinking, this looks like a fireman's patch. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know who designed this thing. And so we all show up in Kuwait. So this will be part of the reason we did later on, me and Sanders.
Yeah.
So we show up in Kuwait. Well, first I have to go through CTC, which is where they train individual deployment
Right.
personnel. But usually that's like National Guard, inactive reserves, not active duty.
Right.
Because we dog handlers deploy. Back then, it was called FTN.
Hmm.
Yeah, or ERF is what it was. The unit required fill.
Okay.
So when the 820th deployed, right,
Hmm.
the entire unit, it had a unit required fill.
Hmm.
For every dog team that deployed,
That was
they
awesome.
had a unit required fill.
Right.
So I show up to Kuwait, nothing. Nobody's there. I don't know where I'm supposed to be going. I don't know who I'm supposed to meet.
You're just dragging
Nothing.
your dog and your kennel off the plane at
Oh
that
my,
point.
and don't forget your weapons case and your
Right.
duffel bags and your, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
everything. You're
yeah.
like, oh my God, what
Right.
is this?
There's nobody here. That's
There's
wonderful.
nobody here. I wander around. I leave my gear with this MP captain that I met, right?
Right.
And me and my dog were just literally wandering around and run into another dog handler. And he's like, oh, I bet you're looking for us. I
Right.
don't know who I'm looking for, bro.
Yeah, but you're K9. I'm going with you wherever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just tell me where to go to find somebody. And he did. He took me over there to show me where the kennels were and to link up with everybody. And we had a lot. We had good crew on that deployment, but it was very so. I don't know what the total number of us was. Maybe there might have been 20 of us.
Right.
Maybe I don't know, and that may be stretching it. But in the initial push into Iraq phase, there was about 20 of us sitting down in Kuwait at Arif John that wasn't built yet.
I probably ran across you because I was at KCIA, Kuwait City International Airport, and Al Jaber when we pushed back in '03.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm pretty sure we probably ran across it. I mean, I was there when Saddam started launching the Silkworm missiles
yep,
back into
yep,
Kuwait City, and it was a funny story because I'm sitting in I have it was an SUV called a Peugeot or something like that,
yeah.
some kind of Nissan looking vehicle. And the army had been there. I'd been to Kuwait 3 or 4 times deployed before that, but this time, it was intense. It was the army buildup, the huge army
Mm-hmm.
buildup there. Do you remember the guy? It was one of the airborne divisions. He threw the hand grenade in the tent.
Oh yeah.
I heard it. I was right
Oh
over there
yeah.
when it went off. But anyway, so the silkworms start coming in, and all I see is all these army guys running for bunkers. And I was E5 at the time, and the sergeant first class come banging on my window. He goes, gas, gas, gas. I'm like, yeah, I know. Roll my window back up. I'm like, I don't have anything for my dog,
Oh
Like
yeah.
if I
Yeah.
see, that's what I said. If I see y'all start dropping, I'll drive off. But but yeah, so we were there at the same time. That's
Yeah.
interesting. That's
And
interesting.
when we landed, I remember Neely thinking I was crazy. He walked in the kennels one day and I was standing there in mop gear
Yeah.
and I was letting my dog sniff the mask, kind of trying to get my dog familiarized with this because
Right.
we knew, right? And so getting him used to it. And then I slowly put it on and that kind of freaked him out. And then he
Yeah.
sniffed, but Neely's like, what are you doing? I was like, bro,
I'm
I do not
acclimated my
need
dog.
this.
Yeah.
I don't need the first time to hit for him to see me in this to be in it. Like
Right.
he
Yeah,
needs to
right.
see this.
You might puncture a hole in your suit trying to get you out of it.
Exactly. Exactly. And sure enough, when we landed, we were in mop gear.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, it was great.
It
But
was it
yeah,
was an interesting time, that's for sure.
yeah,
I loved it. I loved every deployment I went on.
yeah.
I never complained about a deployment, especially with a dog, because I always kind of knew what I was going to be doing. You know, that I think at one point, right before we started pushing in, I mean, they were firing missiles so much that it was just constant. The alarms going off, alarms going off. Finally, you get to a point you're like, I'm not doing anything unless it hits the building next to me. Like I'm tired of this, which is not the right move.
You're right.
You should get in your gear. But my thought was always is I don't have a mask for my dog, so
Yeah.
you know. What am I gonna do? I'm not gonna
Hmm.
leave him. I'm gonna take him with me. I remember running through the kennels and they had like 20 air conditioned units on this indoor kennel, and there was the box ones, and you had to run and tape them up every time you hear the alarms.
Oh my.
Tape them up. So, so no, I get it. So from there, from Kuwait, you push into
Yeah.
Iraq.
it was really kind of weird because like our scent was supposed to be in charge of everything,
Yep.
CentCom, right?
Mhm.
But the canine guys weren't there.
Right.
So it really fell upon our kennel master to find us missions in the beginning. In the beginning, he was the guy finding us the missions, and so they needed dog. They'd gotten into Baghdad.
Mhm.
They needed dogs, so it was Sergeant First Class Vanda Nelson, myself, and Staff Sergeant Robert Sanders.
Mhm.
And this is only my second dealing with Sanders, and I love him. He is my deployment brother. He's my canine brother. Out of all things, Sanders and I have done the most together,
Right.
right?
I got you.
And he was a Campbell baby at the time, and the 101st.
Mhm. Yep.
so
Yep.
we fly into Baghdad. We fly into Baghdad, and we don't have a ride. We don't have a place to stay. We don't have water for our dogs. We
Yeah.
don't have, like, there's
Yeah.
just a lot of
Yeah.
logistic nightmares.
Yeah. Bare
So,
base. Got to build it.
yeah. So we end up at the Baghdad, Saddam's palace,
Hmm.
right? In one of the outlying buildings of it with an MP company.
Right.
And yeah. So, I mean, this is before showers, before porta potties, before,
Yep.
you had nothing. You had nothing. And we came up with a way we found either it was a bowl or a bucket, but the plumbing didn't work, right? Because there was no power,
Right.
but you could fill that up with the water from his moats, you know,
Right.
the, all the water surrounding all of his buildings,
Right.
and you could put it in the toilet and use the toilet.
Right.
And so that's what we initially did for that time. Sanders and I, we'd always get in debates, but whatever. We did the new Iraqi government conference. So it was
Mhm.
the very first part of it where we had to search all the vehicles coming in and all that. But we were sitting there one day or yeah, it was one evening, and there was a knock at the door, and this E7 comes in and was like, "Hey, I hear this is where the canine people are," because of course we got the post or do not
You're
enter, blah
not
blah
in
blah.
there. Yeah.
And he's sitting there. He's like, "Hey, we've got a mission tomorrow. We need to go down to the Baghdad train station,
Hmm.
and our mission is, to support this British general. Maybe he was SAS. I don't know.
Right.
No clue. I don't know any of the backstory." He's like, "I was just wondering if maybe we could get, a dog team to sweep the train before he gets on it. And I'm pretty sure it was a PR thing, pretty
Sure.
sure. But Van asked, he's like, "Hey, do you guys want to go?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, I don't mind doing it. I'll go." And he's like, "Oh, awesome, great. I'll meet you at this time tomorrow. We'll load you and your dog up, blah, blah, blah." Okay, get out there. He's in a soft top Humvee
Oh, Lord.
with operators in the back,
Hmm.
blood all over the floor of the Humvee,
Mm.
the cargo area where the
Right.
guys are at. And the guy's like, "I'm so sorry, like I didn't have time to clean it all out." Of course, we don't have water to clean it out. Like there's just no way to clean it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, I'm sorry. He's like, that my driver got hit at the train
Mm.
station yesterday.
Mm. Okay. Where we're
We're
going today.
going today. And
Yeah.
then as we're driving down the highway with one other Humvee, another soft top Humvee, he's like, "Yeah, we don't have comms. We ain't got, they have no radios. They have no," and I'm like, I, I don't know what I just volunteered for,
Yeah.
man.
You're in it now. You're in it now.
Can I at least have your map so I know how to get home,
Right. Right. Right.
like, holy cow, okay.
Interesting, man.
But we go, me and my dog, we do our little search, and there was no issue at all, but I just laugh. I was like, man, that was like the old West.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
in those days it was, scrounge for what you can get.
Yeah.
And I remember because when I deployed, I'd asked my commander if I could take my NVGs.
Right.
No, no, we're not going to send you with NVGs because you're going to get to Kuwait and they're
They're
going to
gonna
give you all
issue.
that stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was very difficult for me to get my uniforms, which at NTC they have what's called Op 4, right? The bad
Mhm.
guys that
Right.
wear desert camo.
Yeah.
They refused to issue me any desert camo.
You show up in the greens.
I
Yeah,
was
that's
like, you
great.
gotta be kidding me. But no, I when I went to CTC at Fort Benning, they issued all that stuff to
Right.
us. But
Right.
I was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
I've never had to fight so well. I can't believe I have to fight everyone just to get on a deployment, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
They're
No,
like,
I
we don't,
understand. I get
yeah.
it. I get it.
Ah. But
Yeah.
no, so we did our missions up there. Van was able to find us logistics, and after a week or so they got the phones connected. They
Yeah.
finally got the shower tents come in, and everything's catching up to where the line's at, right? Everything catches up.
Yeah.
So it was better. It was better. Well, and the thing about Iraq, so we would go in and out from Kuwait. So
Yeah.
we would fly back to Kuwait. They ended up putting us, me and my buddy Logie, we ended up going to Talil to
Okay.
the EPW camp,
Yep.
for a little while. But again, my dog was an explosive dog, and the 820th Kennels was there.
Yeah.
Thank goodness,
Yeah.
because when Logie first got there, his dog, they convoyed up there, and that was terrible,
Yeah.
terrible for the dogs. The dogs were dogs probably they almost died,
Yeah. So
and
it's funny you say that because I remember at Al Jabber we put a lot of stuff together real quickly, like one overnight for dog teams that were convoying up.
oh,
And I don't remember the 820th guys that were there, but I think it was a Staff Sergeant Barnett. I think he was one of them that was in Talil.
yeah,
Uh, I think that was the 823rd guys that went there.
okay,
But I think I have
okay,
a picture of them somewhere. If I find it, I'll throw it
yeah,
up on the interview. But yeah, so yeah, that was a tough time, right? Like rolling in, reestablishing Iraq and with a bigger
right,
presence than we ever had before because
oh yeah,
before, most of it was the air campaign with some now we're occupying. And that just it almost never ended. So I remember
hmm,
dog teams getting pushed in and out. And in 2003, I went from the 820th and I went back down to Lackland. And that's where I started back in the 341st at the dog training section. And then once I went over to SSD, I really started seeing that impact of
hmm,
what these guys are doing and how they're doing it. And Orlando and I had a long discussion about that the other night. The impact was there,
yeah,
for once in my military career, outside of deploying myself, I could see the impact of what these dogs are doing because
yeah,
that IED threat went out the roof.
yeah,
And of course, we want to give the handler the best opportunity to stay safe when searching for explosives. And while SSD was not easy, and we learned a lot as we went, I think it did a lot of good. So I'm happy about
yeah,
it.
it did,
Um,
yeah.
but that was a huge transition for you, right? So you went from handler there, and then you went over your next, basically your next job was, fast forward a couple of years where you're program manager,
Yeah.
right? So a
Oh
program
yeah.
manager for the Army, can you just tell everybody like what that really is? I know what it is,
So
but
we
talk about
we so the Army falls under different commands,
it. Yep.
right? We have FORSCOM, we have TRADOC, we have USERA for Europe, USERPAC for the Pacific, uh, I, all that.
Yeah.
Um, but they needed someone. Our scent wasn't capable of running the Iraq dog teams,
Right.
and so sorry, so
Sorry.
they had started an Iraq program manager. And actually, I think the first one, I think the first one was in '04, and we were at a canine conference. It was after deployment. So later on, like during that deployment, I ended up having to go to Saudi Arabia to replace one of my other dog teams. But the deployment in all ended up being about 15 and a half months.
Right.
And I was disgruntled. I was bitter. I was angry. Like I didn't get R&R. Like
It is.
it was just it was a big deal. So we go down to Lackland for a canine conference, and me and old Jimmy Blankenship are hanging out, and there's somebody had asked him, "Hey, do you want to go over and be the program manager for Iraq?" And he was just kind of like, I don't know. And then we talked about it. I was like, I don't know, man. It's needed. It is needed. I
Right.
mean, it is a cluster. It's a cluster. You don't
Right.
know where dogs are at. You don't
Right.
know. It's just they need help.
It's
You
messy.
know,
It's messy at best. Yeah.
yeah. And so I think Jimmy Blankenship was actually the first one to go over and start it up to be the Iraq program manager at the time.
Right.
And of course, they didn't have the amount of dogs that we had in 07, 08.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so that in itself, so I ended up going back to Fort Hood and taking the kennels over.
Hmm.
Um, and finally ended up making E7 on the year that I was like, ain't even gonna do my picture because you guys just promote whoever you want.
Right.
And at the time, Shaloy O'Brien, uh, that's not her name anymore, but she was our career manager for
Right.
Ponency.
Yep. Yep.
And she's just fantastic. She's just a fantastic lady. Um, so I get a call from Forcecom saying, "Hey, would you like to be the MNCI program manager? It's an E8 position,
Right.
and we need you to go fix it."
Right.
And then I get a call from Department of Army. "Hey, we need you to go fix it." And
Right.
I'm like, this is garbage, man. Like my husband was deployed
Right.
on his tour,
Right.
and now you're talking about deploying me. So he's been gone a year, and
Hmm.
now I'm getting ready to go a year.
Wow.
Like I don't understand why am I said I am the juniorest sergeant first class in the canine program.
Right.
Why? Why? I don't get it. I don't get it. But I go, and at the time, I mean, Fort Hood, we had 40 dog teams.
Wow.
We had 12 civilians
Right.
uh, teams, or maybe 10 civilian teams, and you know 30 Army, and it was a mess. It wasn't a mess. It was a good learning experience.
Right.
But honestly, I think that's why I went, because if you can survive Fort Hood,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
if you can survive Fort Hood in that big monster of 40 dog teams,
You know what I always found on deployment is peace of mind, to be honest,
yeah,
because I knew what the mission was. I knew what my job was every day. Um, I always told my wife, if I ever go to prison, I'll survive, right? Because I've
yeah,
been on so many deployments that, you understand routine. Get up, go to the gym, go take care of the dogs, go do your mission, come back, chow, shower, bed. Like
yeah,
I'd be okay. I don't want to go to prison, but yeah, I think I'd survive. So I understand what you're saying by that.
yeah,
Like I have a 40 dog kennel, all these personalities, people with their home issues, all this kind of stuff. And
yeah,
if I deploy out here, even if it's with 100 dog teams, everybody's mission focused for the most part, right? Like you
yeah.
find people that aren't mission focused, and they usually reveal themselves pretty
Yeah.
quickly.
Oh
And
yeah.
then you just deal with that. But
Yep.
yeah, I love deployments,
I
right? I
know.
love
I
them.
know. I
Yeah,
know. And I get there and they're not expecting me because they have somebody filling the spot.
right.
But when I get there, everybody's orders, stack of orders like this,
Mhm.
are on the floor under a desk. And
Wow.
I'm like, how are, how is this even going? Oh, it's all up here, all up
Yeah.
here. And I'm like, man, that's
Jeez.
the army doesn't operate, the military doesn't operate that way.
Right.
There's SOPs, there's a standard, there's pass on books, like people have to know in case something happens to you
Right.
how to keep this functioning.
Right. We need
Um,
continuity, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
100.
And so anyway, oh, uh, myself and I forget what they're called, but they're the movement person. Like they track all the movements. They
Right.
they track all the units coming in and all the units going out. And by this time, it's transitioned from IRFs to FTNs, and I don't know what that is.
Right.
Don't know what it stands
It's all
for.
right.
But
Basically, you
we
had a
were,
deployment manager that was managing
yeah,
deployments
yes.
in, out. Yeah.
But
I
she
got
worked for Core. So I get over there. I'm working on General Ordinaro's staff. We're during the BUA, the daily briefings of
you.
operations.
Right.
I had one chain of command in the beginning, and all they focused on was EPW.
Right.
EPW, recidivism, whatever, how many, all this. And I was like, man, why aren't we briefing him on all these fines that I'm sending you, that the dogs are all the weapons caches? Like, I don't understand why we're not putting that in the BUA.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
Oh no, they get briefed somewhere else and this and that, whatever it was.
Right.
And what it was is that she didn't feel comfortable briefing that stuff,
Yeah, but
probably.
you're the SME there with her that's able to explain
Yeah,
this and
it
what that impact is. Right.
yeah, but
Yeah, that's a
so
shame.
luckily for us, well, a few months later, a new provost marshal and deputy provost marshal come in, a new team,
Right.
and they are two of the
Yeah.
best officers I've ever known in my entire career.
Right.
And they pull us all in and they're like, look, our operation here in Iraq is a pie. We got EPWs, echoes. That's you're the experts on that. We got dogs. Sergeant Johnson, you're the expert on that.
Right.
We've got IPLOs, the Iraqi police liaison officers. You guys are the experts on that. We are not the experts on all of it.
Good.
you
That's good.
know,
That's
they,
refreshing, right?
yes, they're like, you guys are the SMEs. We want to know. And so, of course, what happened, we had so many teams out with special operations that General O was getting the information
Right.
and it was being sent to him via Special Operations Command.
Right. So that's yeah. So that's
And
when
that's where that was '07, and that's where his curiosity was like, I so he goes to our colonel and was like, I want a briefing on dogs.
right.
And so Colonel Clark's like, the lieutenant colonel, he's like, hey, let's make it what you want.
And that's it's so funny you say that because understanding the mindset of what was going on 07, 08 really just talks to what you just said, right? Most of the K9 assets were not attached to their units. They were out supporting special operations. It wasn't uncommon for Air Force, Navy to be attached to Army or to be
Yes,
attached to Marines, and that's just kind of how it was. And you would have, I imagine trying to track that with as many dog teams as you had in country of who was with who and where they
it
are,
was
and then trying to
insane.
bring it all together to make it
Well,
somewhat normal.
and then I had the surge.
Yeah,
I'm tracking 175 dog teams in
right,
all different battle spaces, right?
right,
Well, I've got these 7 dog teams out of M&F West,
right.
which was the Marine Corps,
Yeah,
right? Um, but they've got 40 some dog teams. Well, I need to pull these 7 dog teams that belong to me because we didn't
right,
mess with Meff's dogs; those were their dogs,
right,
but we still reported on them. But I had to give third ID dogs.
right.
Third Infantry Division took over Baghdad or Center. They called them Center, MND Center, and they needed dogs.
Right.
They needed dogs,
Yeah.
and so I wrote and I wrote up that we needed the dogs to come back from the Marine Corps. Our 7 dogs. The answer was no.
I wouldn't give them up either, to be honest with you. Because you couldn't find enough dogs, right? No.
So I had to go see the G3,
Oh yeah.
right? Who
Yeah.
worked directly for General Ordinero. And this is
Yeah.
our first interaction with me and our provost marshal,
Yeah.
our big interaction.
Right.
So I'm like, whoa, I just made a map.
Yeah.
I showed him the map of how many dogs each battle space had,
Right.
right? Each division had this many dogs.
Right.
And then I had Center, 0.
Yeah.
And
That's
of
cool.
course, over here at M&F West, they had 40 some dogs.
Right.
And so I'm like, 0.
Yeah.
And we walk in, and the Colonel G3 is like, all right, well, Sergeant Johnson, or, we need to talk about these dogs being reallocated. The Marine Corps can't let him go.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, sir, I understand why the Marine Corps wouldn't want to let them go.
Right.
However, we got third ID. Third ID has 0 dogs.
Right.
I have 7 of my dogs out there that are being underutilized.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, they were being
Yeah.
used for ECPs. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And so I mean, they went out on missions, but still, they weren't being used
They weren't
in
on daily patrols like
yes,
like Third ID would be requesting, right? To put them
yes,
out in front of those platoons and trying to counter IEDs. Yeah, I get it.
yep.
Yep.
And so I showed him the picture, showed him where they were all at, told him I was trying to get center filled, and he was like, "Oh, done deal." I mean, within 2 minutes, I was out of that meeting,
Nice.
and my colonel was like, I'll tell you what, when you retire, you should be a used car salesman. He's like, I have never been in a room that it only takes 2 minutes to get an answer and
Yeah.
you're the answer you want. I
Yeah.
was like, okay, but I mean, it just made sense, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so people weren't understanding the magnitude of Iraq.
Yeah.
And they didn't, people that had deployed previously with dogs, say Bosnia,
Right.
Kosovo, things like that,
Different.
it
Very different. Yeah.
still can't comprehend the magnitude of the battle space,
And that's
right?
that's where I started learning about you, to be honest. And you may or may not know this, but was in that battlefield environment because um, everything you've said and everything that I know and I've heard is that you basically started putting it all together, right? So we get to Iraq. Iraq is a mess. Dog teams are everywhere. We don't know where dogs are. We don't know when they're supposed to come back. We don't know who they're attached to. And anyone that I talk to about you, that's they highlight that very much. They highlight a few
It's
things,
crazy.
but that specifically, and that you were able to kind of gather all that together, put all these pieces of the puzzle together, and start having equal distribution of
Yes.
dog teams over there. And that's when it changed.
Yeah.
And it actually changed back here stateside for us and how we started pushing out dogs and dog teams.
Nice.
And you started seeing it. You started seeing more Army students come through. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, and that's amazing. And I'm so like you're definitely the right person to get over there and put that together. I think oftentimes we get in those situations and we're like, why are they picking me? You know, like, we got a million people to pick. And
Yeah. And I'm the juniorist.
unfortunately for me, that's happened quite a bit in my career
Yes.
where task after task after task after
Yeah.
task because I'm like, there's other guys that are the same rank that should be doing this. But anyway, um, to move on, and thank you for that. You
Yeah.
changed the landscape of what the MWD community, uh, how they started getting taken care of a little better in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah. Well, and
Um,
that's the thing too, is I was never afraid. I first off, I didn't have to be the one in charge.
right,
And I did not have to have total control.
right,
When we started having senior handlers in all those battle spaces, that's when I said, okay, move up to the provost marshal's office of the division.
right.
You're now the program manager for that division.
Yeah, and I think
And I
that's
go
kind
back
of
to the States and they're like, what are you doing making these positions for these people? And I was like, hey, I don't need AdCon and OpCon for 175 dog teams.
right.
Don't need it,
Yeah,
don't want it.
yeah.
Like we have to be able, you have to disperse that oversight because I don't want 15-star majors calling me for
No,
dogs.
100% right. And that's what kind of my point is that, you can't always just rely on me to take care of everything all the
Yeah,
time, right? And they
yeah,
shouldn't, right? Like you should disperse that. That's a big AOR. There's a lot of
yeah.
responsibilities over there. It's okay to have one person that everything's coming to, but for one person to try to take care of it all with
Mm-hmm.
175 plus dog teams,
Yeah,
175, I think was probably the low end. Um, and then also remembering that if you're of that rank and that caliber, the other branches are coming to you as well, right?
mm-hmm.
The Air Force, the Marines, the Navy, they're going to
Right.
find what you were looking for in Kuwait that you didn't find when you
Yeah,
got there. They're going to find that in you. And they're going to say, okay, let's get over here because she knows what we're going to do. So again, thank you for that. I appreciate it. So now let's move on to the Army's big change, right? Going
mm.
from an MOS that was specifically military police, and then at some point moving over to K9, kind of like the Air Force, same way. We usually hit E4, E5, and then you have that opportunity to go K9. So now you and Rob Sanders, who I'm going to talk to, um,
Yeah.
you and Rob co-author the 31 Kilo program. So tell me a little bit about that. Like, what was the motivation for that?
So luckily, General Ordinero had been hearing about what the dogs were doing, right? And he wanted a briefing, and he went to our colonel and said, I want a briefing. And that's when Colonel Clark came to us because by this time, Sanders had replaced the other individual that was in that spot.
Right.
So Sanders came in and we're co MNCI. I had another co, but it wasn't a whole lot of help. Um, and so we start writing this paper, and the biggest issue was the deployment portion of it.
Mhm.
I deployed with a unit, multiple times. I knew what it was like to deploy with a unit, and then I knew what it was like when I deployed as a just a
Delta.
dog handler, individual,
So, yeah.
and the nightmare of it, right? So when we Colonel Clark was like, make it what you want.
Right.
The big dream, make it the big dream. Okay. So we created this thing, and in the Army, uh, Criminal Investigation Division and our Explosive Ordnance Division, you had to have a minimum time requirement in the Army
Okay.
soldiering. You had to learn how to be a soldier
Right.
before you got to go apply for them.
Right.
And so we built it like that. We mimicked CID, we mimicked the engineer dogs
Hmm.
because they did not do individual augmentees.
Right.
We go as a detachment with a captain and
Right.
a detachment sergeant.
As a support group.
Yeah, as a
Yeah.
support group, right? And they go together, they move together.
Right.
And really, I got such pushback from the Army,
Oh, I'm sure.
a program manager. And that deployment really opened my eyes about a lot of stuff. I used to think, oh, they're program managers. They're so much better than me. They know
Right.
more than me. They've
Right.
done more than me. They got to be smarter than me.
Right.
And I was hugely disappointed from the last guy. And then I'm calling ForceCom for a replacement dog of my dog from Fort Hood. Handler got sent home. Oh, well, that's not even the correct earth.
Mm.
Or no, that's not our requirement.
Right.
And then I wouldn't hear from him for a week. And I'd
Mm.
be like, what is going on? Oh, sorry, I've got family issues going on. Bro, I got
Yeah.
175 dog teams over here. We all got family issues going on. And guess what?
Every
It's
one
just
of us, every day. Yeah.
happening. And so it was very eye-opening to me
Yeah.
that the people that I used to put on this pedestal,
Mhm.
thinking they were so much smarter or more experienced, or those guys had never even deployed as a dog team.
See, that's kind of the difference too. So I don't know if you saw the interview with A-Rod yet. I don't know if you
I
uh
seen it posted. I haven't got to watch it yet.
so we kind of talk about that too, specifically, meaning that, you know, sometimes you have these folks that you look up to and you admire them, but then something happens and you get in that situation. And to no fault of their own, right? A lot of the guys that came before us, they were Cold War dog handlers, right?
Yeah,
Maybe they
yeah,
did Bosnia, maybe they did Kuwait or Saudi Arabia working VCPs. But
yeah,
our generation, our generation was so different. We were born in war, right?
yeah,
Not long afterward, and we stayed in it our entire career.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so that it just the mindset's different when you've experienced it as a
yeah,
handler
yeah,
and as a program manager, and you can take those things back. Everyone's always resistant to change. K9 specifically. I mean, if you think about it, not much has changed in K9 training over the last 50 years, right?
yeah. Oh, yeah,
We may have changed to have a better response of focus or define refer final response, but the fundamentals, you go back to even to the Vietnam era, it's still the same, right?
hmm,
Um, so no fault to their own. They just had not experienced that, and our generation is definitely different, and that's why it's full of so many legends.
yeah,
Nothing against the other generations, but our guys spent a pretty much the duration of their careers in a combat environment with a dog, or training to be in a combat
yeah,
environment with a
yeah,
dog. So that's why really my heart goes out to recognizing these guys. And while they don't even, and the part that they don't even think they're legends is funny to me because in 50 years, it's going to be a different story, right?
yeah,
So I want to make sure I capture it. So thank you for
yeah,
bringing that up, man. That pulls on my heartstrings a little bit.
yeah, yeah. And I was just like, so we created it like that. We
Yeah,
wanted our teams. I did not want to have to put another E4 dog handler
yeah,
on a plane with all of his sensitive items.
yeah. Good luck, buddy.
Good luck. I have plane arrangements and flight arrangements for you. Hopefully, there's somebody there to meet you.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
ridiculous.
No, that's right.
And it's still. I guess that's my frustration is
Yeah.
they didn't. So we we get into well, we go back to the MP Corps, home of the regiment,
Yeah.
to brief this at another conference. And I love these guys. I love them. I'm showing them the white paper. I'm showing them the org chart, how we want to do this, right? Where we identify a kennel master, and then you pull 20 dog teams from all over, fill in on that kennel master, and everybody gets on the C5 and flies over together,
Right.
right? And everybody's complaining because they've all deployed and they know what a nightmare it is. And I'm like, I know.
Right.
Look at what we're trying to
Right.
do.
Right. We're
You
trying to
know,
simplify this
we're trying to
deployment for you.
simplify, right?
Yeah.
Our deputy provost marshal, he's briefing our uh, regimental commander, the general,
Yeah.
and we didn't get really anything that would change how we were breaking stuff down,
Right.
right? But we did want it to start out as E4,
Hmm.
E4 with a minimum time in service,
Yeah.
right? And so that's how it was briefed. So we get up to it's time to brief General. We go back to Iraq, and it's time to brief General O, and Colonel Clark's dragging me and Sanders in with him, and we're thinking Colonel Clark's going to brief it.
Mm.
General O is thinking Colonel Clark's going to brief it,
Mm.
and Colonel Clark's like, "Oh no, no, sir, these are my SMEs. They're going to brief it."
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I'm like, boom, and push Sanders to the front. I'm like, "There you go, buddy."
Go, Rob, talk away, bud.
Yeah, because General O, he is a very intimidating man, like,
Right.
or was. I mean, he was
Right.
just, oh, great. But so we briefed it, and General O was like, I love this.
Yeah.
I'm on board.
Right.
Let's get this to Petraeus,
Yeah.
because Petraeus was the MNFI commander at the time.
Right.
And man, I don't even know who was coming in. Big people were coming in from Big Army,
Yeah.
and so Colonel Clark was the one who briefed General Petraeus on it,
I
and
got it.
he was like, "Yes, I'm on board. I love the idea." Well, isn't it strange that for the last since 2001 that the dog teams, the Army dog teams, had not been supporting military police units. We were no longer doing any sort of military police combat field functions with them. We were off on our own with who?
Special
Combat arms.
combat arms
Combat arms.
on missions that specifically. Yeah. And that's kind of the point too of this 31 kilo. Like I know it was a lot of hard work. I know it was probably aggravating, but the end result ended, and let's make sure I got it right. The end result was they come into K9 right off the bat. Like that's their job. So
Yeah.
they're they're young in it right off the bat. So, you got some of what you wanted. I think the end result
Yeah.
of being able to deploy is that your husband?
Yeah. He's just getting home.
If the end result is to be able to take care of the teams, regardless
Yeah.
if they're a PFC or a sergeant, I think that's a good thing. There's a package now, there's a standard for them to
Right.
to look to. And I always have mixed emotions about uh, straight into K9. The
Yeah.
Marines still do it, right?
Yeah.
Right to it. I always have mixed feelings, but I think it actually builds a better handler, better trainer over time, depending on the person, right? Because you could have squared away sergeant or specialists or senior airmen that come in at that level and they progress. But that's if they're selected properly, right?
Right.
And I'd see a lot of that in schoolhouse. I'm like, who selected this guy to come be K?
Yes.
Right?
And that's the missing piece.
Yeah.
That is the missing piece for the Army
Right.
is that if I want to wait a year to become a 31 kilo to be able to get put into one of those class dates, then I can just I can enlist as a 31
Well,
kilo.
that's what the Air Force started making it an enlistment incentive. So in my time, you had two options as security police. You could either go CADM or go K9. And then
Mhm.
sometimes, and I could tell by the quality of senior airmen that I was getting at the 341st Block 1, it was like that commander got rid of his garbage.
Yeah.
And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, you
Yeah.
don't disrespect my career field that I loved
Yeah.
and bled and fought for so long. So I wish the Air Force would actually go to a 31 kilo. Uh,
Yeah,
but
I
it's
mean,
just, Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't know. We don't know.
It is. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't know how. I mean, they're making it work. It is working,
Yeah,
but I mean, you're getting ready to enter into very few deployments.
yeah. Well, yeah.
And luckily for us, we still have a law enforcement mission, right?
Hmm.
And I tell everybody, man, Somalia prepared me for the rest of my Army career. You
Yeah.
know, I
Oh,
mean, it
100%. 100%.
really did. Like it was one of those things that yeah, you learn how to stay alive.
And it's funny you say that because I think about when you say that, I think about the 820th, right?
Hmm.
And how that mission's going too. Same kind of forward deployed operation. Don't really do base police stuff at all. There's no
Right.
they have their own.
Oh
So I
yeah.
wonder how those missions, I would hope that they're enhancing their skills and doing more training and things like
I
that.
hope so.
Unfortunately, the world we live in, something could pop off tomorrow, and I
Yeah.
would rather these teams all be prepared and set up to function and be able to go out than have to go out like we went out in the early days. So
Yeah.
thank you and Rob Sanders for putting that
Yeah.
together, 31 kilo. So then, once that finished up, then you retired, all right? Once you
Oh,
finished up the program manager gig.
oh no, no. That's when I ended up at Lackland.
Oh,
So
okay. So when you
yeah,
went back to Lackland 341st, you were still active duty.
yes,
Okay, okay.
yes. So
Yep,
I thought I was, my husband and I had given up. We didn't think we were ever going to leave Fort Hood, Texas.
yep,
We did 3 tours there. I was promoted sergeant, staff sergeant, and sergeant first class, all at Fort Hood, all
right,
different rotations.
right.
Like we were like, okay, we give up. We'll be here for the rest of my career because he came home from Iraq, retired, and then I went to Iraq.
I got you. Yeah.
And so he was done. And I just given up. I was like, man, I'm gonna stay at Fort Hood for the rest of my life, I guess.
Yeah. No, I
Well,
get it.
while I was there, Sergeant O'Brien, our career person, she tracks everybody's career.
Yeah.
Um, Great. She came over with the Center of Army Lessons Learned. And
Yep.
so I was able to show her why I got her out to some of those little kennels to show her why I'd set it up the way I did.
Right.
And she understood it once you broke it down, like people understood why.
Yeah.
And so she had been talking to me for like the early 6 months on deployment, saying, well, Sergeant Johnson, what would you think about going to Lackland? And then she would recite my whole career, and she's like, I just think you need to go to Lackland. And I
Yeah.
was like, all right, okay,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And so I told my husband, well, don't get comfy, we're going to Lackland next,
So
and
so when you PCSed or changed stations over to
Mhm.
Lackland, you went in as the op superintendent.
Mm-mm.
Uh, is that correct?
So initially, I mean, I ended up as the op suit, but
Okay.
initially I was at handler's course.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, Becky Brooks was my team chief.
Oh, Becky Brooks.
Yeah, Becky
What's
Brooks.
what's her last name now? It's
Cooper.
Cooper, yeah.
Cooper,
So
yeah,
she and I went when I came over to the federal agency I just retired from. She and I actually went through handlers course together, which was
that's
kind
right.
of weird because, we had been handlers and all that in the field for such a long time. But yeah, so you go back,
Good
you
gal.
run
Yeah, so I
you're
train up
course chief
to. Hmm?
as a course chief for
No, no. Initially, I mean, sure, they wanted me to end up taking it over
yeah,
eventually, but I get there and I'm learning to instruct because the Air Force has its special way of
that's the
how
new
we're
way.
supposed to,
Yep.
and there's a lot. Anyways,
Yeah,
I end up but I am in charge of the Army guys, the
I
handlers
got
course
you.
Army guys,
Yeah.
and by the end of that, I got 77s under me.
Okay.
And thank goodness. I mean, these guys were they were not the ones that I had experienced.
Right.
They
Right.
were good dudes, and I had to carry Ford
Yeah.
and Charles Shepker and Hutch. Well, Hutch is gone, but
Yeah.
I had a very good crew. I had Littleton was one of mine.
Oh
Like
yeah. 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 Yeah.
Davis. All these guys. I mean, some of these guys were just phenomenal,
Guys that are
phenomenal.
still out there doing it today too.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
no.
and
And you know the difference? I'm gonna tell you what the difference is. They were they were born in war. That's the
yeah,
difference. Those
yeah.
guys were not the guys before them, and they still carry themselves to
Yes.
that to this day. And it's so refreshing. And it's for the Army Sergeant First Classes, and I'll say this, and they'll give me shit about it, but they're so competitive with each other that they drive them, to
Yes.
do better. to do
Yeah.
better. And I watch, I spent a lot of time at Lackland, probably about 6.5 years, and I've watched them grow
Mm.
from coming in at E5 all the way up to a couple of them sergeant major. Rutherford, is it Rutherford sergeant major now?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
sergeant major. He is the military police regimental sergeant major now.
Oh, so yeah, even better, right? And but I remember running classes with that guy, and
Yeah.
he was rock solid. He was
Yes.
rock solid then, and I'm sure he's still rock solid now. Um, but yeah, so and Lackland's such a great place to refine skills, such a to get reps on students, on dogs, and I loved
Yes.
it. And I just tell everybody that was the pinnacle of my canine career, was spending time there and learning how to actually train a dog the real way, from the ground up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you get over there,
I
you were ops superintendent for a little while. We talked about that role.
oh yeah.
Then you had a really probably the best job in the world after that. The best job in the world.
Yeah. Was it after I retired?
After you retire. So you go to puppy program. I love that program
Man,
so much. Uh,
man, I'll tell you, I learned, people, you either love Doc Hilliard or you don't care for him,
right.
right? I always found Doc Hilliard fascinating,
Yeah,
always.
me too.
And to be able to actually go over there and be part of the breeding program,
Yeah.
like, man, those are some of the best dudes. Like, if you look at all the different sections and all the places you've worked, like being in that section with those trainers
Yeah.
and Doc and Jason,
Yeah.
Dill, it
Yeah.
it was the closest thing to having the camaraderie of a good
Uh-oh.
kennels,
Something
you
happened.
know?
Hey, say that again. It was the closest to having a camaraderie of a good kennels. It froze up on you.
The, okay. So it was the closest to having the camaraderie of a good kennels
Right.
that you would see outside of a kennels.
Right.
I mean, we had some just phenomenal, but I learned so much. Like, like we we underestimate our dogs,
All the
and
time.
we surely underestimate a well-bred working puppy.
100%. So
Oh,
I want to tell you a story. When we started SSD, it was a very interesting time. We basically got pool dogs. Me and Orlando were talking about this the other day. We were getting these dogs that are supposed to be off-leash trainable. And when you look at their 375 or their buy sheet, you can see where they scratched out full hard mouth bite. So we were getting dogs that were just
yes,
so everybody's like, okay, well, let's do this thing called Pet the Patriot. So all over San Antonio for 2 weeks straight, they had it on the news. Pet the Patriot, bring your dog to the 341st. We'll test your dog if you want to donate your dog for service, kind of like they did in World War II, right?
yeah,
So I swear we tested 200 dogs. Of 200 dogs, only two made it
oh,
through that portion of the testing. And then of those dogs, only one made it medically, right? So all the time when I talk to people and I want to start breeding dogs to sell to the government, I'm like, you have no idea, man. You have no idea what it is. But that program there, circling back to it, it's been tried and tested. Yeah, they might have had a few years here and there where product wasn't as good, but Doc has always been a part of that. And Doc has built some really great dogs out of
oh
that,
man,
and studs and female dogs for the puppies. And I remember at DTS, if you got three of those dogs on your trailer, you were so excited because you knew you were going to have a lot of fun.
yes,
So, with that being said, I saw you get super excited when I brought up puppy program. So I'm happy.
hmm
I'm happy to have
yeah,
made your day with that. And I know you guys put a lot of work in, and the
yeah,
learning environment there is that you're building, right? You're
yeah,
building a product from the ground up, and I love it. I think I'm not sure if TSA, no, they stopped doing it. TSA stopped doing it. I wish they would go back to doing that
yeah.
well alongside. But
And that's the
lastly,
whole. Go ahead, go
no,
ahead.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I,
Sorry.
that's the whole thing. Is it's not even like for us. We're just using what the dog gave us. Okay. So the puppy at 6 weeks old is ready to learn something.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand is at 6 weeks old, that puppy is completely capable of learning.
Oh,
And
100%.
they want, and that's where you start having the problems. People not crating the puppy, people, I tell people all the time, I said, there's a difference between because we would have fosters come in that, oh, I want to raise a puppy.
Right.
I've been around, we raise German Shepherd dogs. We're good. And I'm like, no, you don't understand.
Not yet.
German Shepherd dog and a working Malinois are on different spectrums. Doc Hilliard, this is my thing with people is like, Doc could have looked at me and been like, oh, Renae, I don't need to teach you anything. You're a retired first class canine professional.
Right.
Like, what do I got to teach you? No. Like that man, he trained us. He mentored us, he taught us. There's so much he knows. And when people are like, oh, well, I've trained a green dog
Yeah.
from 6 weeks old.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
A green dog at Lackland is not a green
Right.
dog. That
You,
dog has had training already,
for up to 2 years, right? Depending on
hmm
when we got the dog, we picked it up. But
Yeah. And so our pups, you could, I guess the frustrating thing was, when sections don't work well together,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
The frustrating thing was is we'd get a pup at 7 months old, they get turned in, and our guys would train them and develop them. They
yeah,
continued developing in them. But there were so many of those dogs that were ready for certification,
right,
but were paused
right,
because somebody that ran the trailer didn't like puppies because they were just so intense
right.
or whatever.
Yeah,
And
no, and that's a
and
shame.
yeah, like if our guys would have been able to just qualify them and send them to the field, but even still,
Well, that never happened though, right? Like certification, you know, Oscar Clayton could have easily, anybody from evaluation sections should have been able to come over there and certify them dogs and push them out. So
yeah,
the politics of that is
yeah.
a
There's a lot of
little
civilian
aggravating.
politics.
Yeah,
Yes,
no, I get
civilian
it.
politics
I
in
get
there.
it. Also, timing for TDR, like, oh, we don't want them yet because we want to hold them for next year's TDR, all that kind of stuff. I'll
Yeah,
say it, you don't have to.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and there was always a crazy wild number we were chasing, but Puppy Program is an amazing program.
yeah. It is.
Doc and I are communicating.
Okay,
He's
good.
gonna come on. I can't wait. Doc is.
Yay.
I was very fortunate when DFR started. I had been
Hmm.
doing it over in SSD for a long time, so they had sent me back to DTS to help Doc develop DFR for
Nice.
DoD. And so
Yep.
me and Doc and Albert Verosigi and a couple others, I just got to spend a lot of time with him, and I was
Hmm.
very, very thankful for that
Yeah.
because that knowledge base is unbelievable,
And
unbelievable.
and this was my point was, we went from I watched as Doc Hilliard transition from a compulsion based
Hmm.
into inducive.
Yeah,
And I got to watch that when he's like, oh man, this is so cool, and
yeah, yeah,
clicker training
yeah.
and he's
Yeah, he
like,
gets super excited. I know, I
and
love it. It's motivating, to be
and
honest,
so,
right?
yeah, it's motivating. And so my thing was if Doc Hilliard, who's been training dogs for however many decades,
Right,
can see the value in changing training methods,
right.
why can't DTS?
Why do we get so hung up on it? 100%, that's a character of a great trainer to be
Mhm.
open-minded to change, um, and realizing, the product you got to train in the 80s and the product you have today, that's two totally different products, two
Yes,
totally different missions, right?
yes,
Different,
yes.
different caliber of handlers that we're sending these dogs to.
Yeah,
So yeah, you're 100% right. I was Chris Jacobin. We
sure
talked
is.
about his transition from being basically that compulsion guy
Yeah.
to that science guy and figuring out what that individual dog needs. And one thing that Paul Bunker has always told me, and I live by it, is train the dog in front of you, right? Meaning there's not one way to train every dog, and
Yeah,
if you do that, you limit yourself so much. You'll get the dog through it,
yeah,
you'll train them, but
but not
it not might be the
my,
best capability of that dog
yeah.
or bring out the
And
best in that dog, right?
yeah, and that was something too, is I used to describe breeding program dogs, right?
Hmm.
Because at Hood, I don't know if you ever remembered hearing about Ori.
The dog Ori
Ori.
puppy program, yeah.
Yes.
I had one of his brothers, Orlando.
Okay.
I raised him at home. Yeah, yeah,
Okay. So Ori was one of my dogs at Hood
yeah.
and also one of my dogs in Iraq.
Yeah.
and he
What a
just
dog, huh?
just a
What a
beast,
dog.
man. And the way I used to describe it is, look, like old school compulsion doesn't work with these breeding program dogs.
Right.
Like it's like they're born with that the scale of justice,
Right.
and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you're right, I was wrong. I'll take that.
I'll
But
fix
you
it.
get heavy-handed with those
Yeah.
guys,
See what happens.
and they become psychopaths, and you're
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, guys, why wouldn't you want to have a better relationship with your dog?
Right.
If the only thing you know how to do is compulsion training,
Yeah.
you're archaic.
Well, I'm going to throw this out there. The O litter, and I'll stand behind it, was the best litter to date to ever come through that program. I had so much feedback. I picked up Orlando and finished him, but I had another one. I can't remember his name. But you rarely would get calls from the field saying thank you at DTS.
Mhm.
But I had a couple that came
Yeah.
back like that. But yeah, amazing. And now I want to talk about these amazing, amazing pieces of art that I saw when
Yeah.
I was down at Lackland. My favorite are obviously the stained glass. I love them so much. They're
Oh,
so
I'm
beautiful.
working on a second one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed because I dropped about $20 worth of tickets in there and I didn't get one, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But I want you to talk about your like what
Okay.
made you go into that and
So, well, okay. So I think for me, I had so many injuries in the army that I just wanted to survive my career. I
I get
just
it.
wanted to get to 20. I think I got 21 in a few months, right?
Right.
And I was like, man, I got to get there, right? And then I was like, well, now what am I going to do?
Right.
So after retirement, we moved back to Fort Hood
Back
because
to
we still had a house up there,
yeah.
Killeen area. And I used my GI Bill to go to a junior college for
Okay.
art.
Good.
But I strictly did art. And I thought I was going to do clay. I wanted to learn how to sculpt and that and ended up really falling in love with portrait drawings.
Yeah.
And
And it
and the
shows.
dude, I the instructors up there taught me everything. Like I didn't know how to do any of that stuff.
Right.
I could draw a stick figure.
You sound like me.
Yes, like everybody in our class, not everybody, but most of the people in our class drew stick figures. And our instructor was like, by the end of this class, you're going to be drawing realism. And we're like, yeah,
Yeah,
right.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
But you
And
are. You are.
he did it. He did it. He
Yeah.
taught us. And I mean, yeah, my Arnold, do you know Arnold?
Yes, I know him very
So
well.
good old Arnold, he's like, oh, I just can't see you going to art school,
Yeah.
like
Sounds
art
just like
school.
him. Yeah.
And I and I was like, bro, like art, these art classes is very similar than the army.
Yeah.
Like it's such a melting pot in this class. I got a buddy that I'm pretty sure he's smoking dope right before he walks into class. I got another buddy that got out of jail. I was like,
Yeah,
man, this
yeah.
this group is eclectic, just like the army. So
Yeah,
no,
that's
that's a
great.
good group.
So
And
I'm sorry, I mean to cut you off, but I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
post I have your sketches that you sent me. So I'm gonna post them in a video. But also if you could send me over about your website, that's a business that you have. And then I definitely want to promote that because it's beautiful. And most K9 handlers want to show a lot of respect to their former dogs in that
yeah.
sense. And it's such an amazing thing. I had this dog I trained years and years ago. His name was Chef, and he was a big boy. He's probably 80 pounds. He was mean as hell. But ended up going into the Navy. And you know, you push him out of 341st, you kind of forget about him. About 15 years later, I'm walking through, I think it was a K9 conference in Nashville, and I see this big portrait of him. And I was
Oh,
like, Chef? So I stopped and I talked to this lady. It was that dog. It
oh
was the dog
wow.
I had trained. So she gave me a whole bunch of portraits, and he had retired and then passed over, gone on to warrior heaven. But man, what a thing. It's in my living room right now. It's
It's
hung
so
up. I
cool.
love it. So thank you. one thing I'll say in closing for you is you've always held the community together, and I've always respected that about you. I don't even remember the first time I met you. It was probably 10, 15 years ago, and it was probably at Lackland.
Yeah.
But I knew right then, I was like, that's one amazing person right there. Um, and the impact that you've had on the K9 community, you may never even know it, but I do, because I talk to people. That's why I have this channel. I talk to
Yeah.
people all the time. My mom said I should have been a preacher. Maybe she was right. I don't know.
Hey, it's not over, man.
It's not
Like
over.
I tell everybody, there's chapters in
You,
our lives.
you
We
never
don't
know.
know.
You never know, right? And again, the purpose of this is to highlight you guys out there. I'll never stop doing it. I don't care if this thing
Yes, of
gets 10
course.
hits or a million hits. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
to me. I want to tell your story.
Yeah.
And as you know, we're going to be meeting again. I want to talk about a fallen friend of ours, Chris Lalonde, who meant the world to me, and I know meant the world to you. I didn't meet Chris until later in my life, when we were over at K2 together, but
Okay.
instantaneously stuck like glue. Well, I take that back. I lie. The first time I met Chris, I thought Fosco was going to eat me alive. When he was what was his job up at the 341st? He had his own office up in the
Yeah, he
Hempstead
was the
building.
first sergeant of the unit. He was
Yeah.
the first sergeant for the Army detachment.
So I was working for the Marine Corps, as a program supervisor. They had some title, I don't remember. But anyway, I get off that elevator up there, bing, and there's a mouse staring at me with all these. I'm like, oh my God. And I hear Fosco, come here. So I follow en route because I want to go in. And so that's the first time I met him, but we really got to know each other. Actually, I lived with Chris for about 3 months in North Carolina, and we stayed friends ever since then. And we have one thing in common that is really, really unique. We share the same birthday.
Oh, wow.
So it was
Yeah.
always a fight to see who could call the other
Yeah.
first on their birthday. So I just started calling him at midnight and waking him up.
Right?
But hey, Renee, thank you so much for
Oh,
what you've
no.
done, for what you're
No,
still
thank you.
doing. You're welcome. You're absolutely
Yeah.
welcome. Please send me over the all the information where people can look at your art and purchase it. Guys, please support.
I don't know that I'm even on. Like, we just started a new gig. I don't know that they can even order it yet.
Okay.
Like,
Well, leave me. I've got
yeah.
your, are you okay with your email address? I'll put it
Yeah.
out, put your email address at the bottom.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
they're interested in any of that,
Oh,
they can
absolutely.
contact you. And
Yeah.
at some point when the shutdown is over and I actually started getting my retirement check, I'm gonna look at getting one of those portraits from you. Okay.
Awesome.
All right.
That's
Thank you, my
awesome.
friend. God bless you.
Oh, you too.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Take
You've been
care.
great. All right.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
All right. Bye-bye.